awesome buy. The Hobnob snobs haven't ruined the prices for everybody yet. What's up, people? So, big topic of conversation for young people and anybody who care about like money because they don't have much, but they love cars. That's difficult for everybody nowadays because anything that's cool, all the prices have been inflated ridiculously. And the car world, from auctions to social media to whatever, is just crazy, right? And you can't afford anything cool anymore. Or can you? So, I've got Casey's top 6 cars. Why 6? I don't know. 6 or half a dozen of the other guy. Plus, that's the amount of cars I thought of. So let's go with it. But these are the cars that are amazing values. The prices are in no way artificially inflated by people's like egos and like their lower brain. You know what I mean? Or keeping up with the Joneses. They're cars that are priced like nicely. And I'm telling you about this not because I want the prices to go up, because I hate that. Can car guys just like still afford some good cars? But because like I want you guys to have good cars and like have fun. And if the prices go up, that you get in before they go up. So, you know, it's more fun. So let's see, where should I start? Because I don't want you guys to like not listen to me. First one I want to talk about, BMW Z3, right? That car is different because it's kind of the last car that could be made as an old school roadster where it's low and beautiful and sculpted before DOT regulations and such made it to where the doors had to come way up high. And then the Z4 that came out, you know, it's a neat car, but it doesn't remotely have the same style. And it's also, the Z3 was also built at a time where they were really putting in pretty solid materials. They're pretty good. There's not a lot, not too bad in the way of like plastic and such. They do really well in terms of corrosion protection. Of course, there was one in a James Bond movie. That's always cool. And people may say, oh, that's a girl's car because it's little. Okay, whatever. My wife has one and she's a girl, but I used to have one and it was awesome. In fact, I seem to, well, let's just say I did okay with the ladies back then too. Actually, I'm married right now, so my lady is my wife. But anyway, the BMW Z3 is awesome. You can buy them for a couple grand or a crazy nice one for 10 or a little bit more. These people, these like investor people and hobnob snobs and whatnot are all into like the M clown shoe, you know, like the coupe. But the roadsters are a pretty good buy. There's still a lot of them that are stick. There's, you know, some are automatic and they range from 4-cylinder ones up to pretty good 3-liter 6-cylinders that are straight. So that's a really great car I think you guys should think about. Always remember, if you're buying a project, think about your time that goes into it, because that's valuable. You could be working at a job or doing other things, as well as how much money it's realistically going to take and the expertise it takes to fix something up. So that goes with any of the cars I'm talking about. But BMW Z3, really good one to think of. The other one, which has too much of a stigma, and that's probably why the prices have stayed low, but it's such a great car, and I've owned a few, is a C4 Corvette. Which we're talking early mid-80s through the mid-1990s. And they did smooth out. They did change, I think, come around like 1990, 1991. The taillights got a little more square looking. The car smoothed out, so it wasn't quite as like harsh angle 80s. But still pretty much the same car. They also updated the interior a lot. It got nicer, a good bit more quality. And then it got into later generation engines, which made more power in the 90s, and they're a pretty quick car. Of course, there's also the ZR1 that has that like 4-cam in it and all, which is kind of neat, Grand Sport or whatever. But her C4 Corvettes, especially the 80s ones, man, I saw a nice one just the other day with the 70,000 miles. It was gorgeous. It was like white with a red interior, nice wheels. Everything was great about it. You could daily drive it. I used to daily drive one. They're asking $4,500. It's a Corvette. It's a V8. It's classic. You can go to AutoZone and get parts for it. Come on. The other thing that's cool about Corvette C4s is it's fiberglass, so you're not going to get car door dings. And the hood's really strong. And the windshield's really rakish. So if you take a girl out on a date, you can go park somewhere in a starry night and just like put a blanket on. You can like lay on the hood against the windshield. I know this from experience. And you're not going to worry about denting your car. So it's super cool. The tops come off. The 80s ones, it's hard to find a stick shift one, but the automatics are still pretty good. And you can always modify it and have loads of fun. But C4 Corvette, awesome buy. The hobnob snobs haven't ruined the prices for everybody yet. And if you have a nice one that's tasteful, what are people going to hate on you and cry because the dashboard's kind of plastically and they squeak a little? Who cares? It's $4,500. Get a life. Okay, next car. Porsche 944. Duh. So coming on a front engine kick here, right? But anyway, 944s are actually really great cars. You got to be a little bit mindful when you buy them because dingbats rag them out. So it's a big 4-cylinder, big displacement, and it's also got balance shafts in it. So it has a timing belt for the camshaft, and it also has a timing belt for the balance shafts. And people that are crappy mechanics can sometimes get those off, and they'll shake like crazy. Just heads up. It doesn't mean it's bad, but you want to, make it not shake like crazy and like retime it properly. So that's something you want to watch, but don't let the Porsche people freak you totally out like that it requires special fighter jet space shuttle service. If you're a competent mechanic, you can do it, and you don't actually need their crazy special tools. It's hard to get down in there and do it, but if you take everything off and you pay attention, somebody who's a competent mechanic can do a fine job. Of course, if it's making like crazy noise and whining like a supercharger, that's probably something's bad. But don't let Porsche freaks like try to ruin this for you. A good mechanic can work on a 944. The clutches are a little weak, so don't think it's a Corvette and be, trying to do burnouts and such, because it has the original clutch, it's rubber center, and when that goes, you'll have a bunch of lash in your driveline, and it's kind of a pain in the butt to change the clutch in those cars. So don't break that. But the other thing that's neat about Porsche, if I'm not mistaken, the early 80s, they galvanized all their bodies or did some sort of treatment on the steel where it's really hard for them to rust. And the 944 also effectively has perfect 50-50 weight distribution. So they make great all year round cars wherever you live. It's hard to make them rust. I've had 944s even nowadays. I'll drive them in winter. You just put on tires with really good tread for winter. That's key. Obviously, any car with crappy tires is not going to grip. But you can, in fact, drive a 944 year round. It's a great car. They're not super fast. The turbos are pretty good. And Porsche kooks, the Porsche party snob people are trying to inflate the prices right now. So you better start looking to find a good car if you want one the whole way around. There's the early dash and the later dash. That changed in like mid 1985. I like the early dash better, but that's personal choice. And there's other little changes, whatever. But 944 is a really great car. And if you can find a decent one and you keep it up, you're not going to be into it for a lot of money, and they're really stylish too. So next car, first gen Toyota MR2. Yes, they're so cheap right now. How is this possible? Okay, first of all, now those will rust like crazy, especially if you're like in the Rust Belt or where there's winter and salt on the road. So you got to be mindful of that. Rust is not easy to fix, and it always wants to come back. It's basically the cancer of cars. So for you guys out there that are trying to buy a car real cheap, if the car's got rust and you're not a painter and you're not a welder, like that's not a small thing, okay? Pay attention to that. So you want to try to find one that's fairly low in terms of rust. Also, they're totally old enough now that people are importing them from Japan left and right, so you can get a right-hand drive one that's pretty cool. And the Japanese keep amazing care of their cars and don't put many miles on it, so that's something to think of. But I think those cars are really great. The second generation MR2 is cool too, and also a good buy. I'm just a little more partial to the first. It's really pure. It's got that funky, like school of folded paper, origami looking wedgie design, which I think is neat. And I think the car is just more pure of a sports car. So those are really great ones that if you get a hold of a nice one, you keep it up, you do tasteful mods on it, something you can keep for a very long time, put miles on, and enjoy. Daily driving one of those, you're gonna, if there's winter, I would want to avoid the winter in one. Not because you couldn't make it, you put nice tires on it and all, just because I wouldn't want my nice car rusting to the ground. So that's a really great one. My next two cars, which are a little more expensive, but they gotta be on this list. And actually are my personal two cars right now. Early Dodge Vipers. What? Yes. Okay, so the RT10s, that's the Roadster ones that came out like 1993. I think around 1996 is where they changed a bit and kind of went second gen engines. But that's also the first year they actually had door locks and roll up windows. So for all you people that are thinking about getting into an early Viper, that's an RT10, cool, they're awesome. But, you know, don't expect to daily drive them like you would other cars. They are an old school, I'm Bob Lutz and I'm gonna do what I want kind of a car and pretend it's the 60s. It's a Cobra. I mean, they named it Viper for a reason. It's like a new Cobra with 10 cylinders. That's awesome. You can buy them, pretty regularly good cars for 20 to 25 grand. Yes, I know that's more money, but it's still less price than a brand new used car. The other thing is the production numbers are low. We're talking a few hundred cars. They made like 25,000 Corvettes in 1967, okay? So Brainiacs, eventually the prices are gonna go somewhere, okay? Early cars, whatnot. I've got like 90,000 miles on my GTS. You can put miles on it, you can have a great time. You know, there's some things about them you gotta be nice to. It's a lower production car. It's kind of boutique-y in that way, but it's a great car and super cool. The early GTS cars, like mine, the hardtop, are really sought after. Of course, the blue with white stripes you pay more money for. But if you look, every once in a while you can find like an all red or all silver car, one kind of a higher production color, for as little as like $30,000. And that's a non-salvage car. If you're okay with a salvage title, which if you get into like Porsches and Ferraris, those guys all freak out, even if the car's fixed perfect. But, you know, forget them. They don't drive their cars anyway. Not all of them, but you know what I mean. My car is actually a salvage title. And that's cool because if you want to drive your car a lot, that's a way to get a really cool car quite a bit cheaper. Just obviously you want it to be fixed well. But in this day and age, when those cars aren't worth a lot, it doesn't take much to salvage them. Seriously, if you bought the car for 20 grand and some dingbat breaks your hood, well, a new hood on one of those is like 17 grand is the old list price. So it takes nothing for an insurance company to total one out. So you can probably find a really good car that got totaled out, that didn't get much damage. And parts are readily available because people suck at driving and wreck them all the time because they have no ABS, traction control, etc. So if you suck at driving, you at least need to not suck with making good choices and keeping your excitement level reasonable. But for all those people who couldn't do those things, there's plenty of salvage parts out there and they're pretty easy to fix. So you're gonna be great there and just be nice to your car. And then lastly, and this is the one that still blows my mind, and this is because like wacky car snobbery knows no bounds. So way back when I always see like a different Ferrari model that was old would double in price every year. They would get inflated. People would freak out. They'd be like, oh my gosh, suddenly I need to own this car because the prices are going up. Really? You didn't own this car before because you liked it as a car and now you just want to keep up with the Joneses? Lame. So really cool car, V12. You can still find a stick shift, but it's rare, is the Aston Martin DB7, okay? The Vantage. They're V12. Now, some of them are 6-cylinder, but most of them are V12. The 6-cylinder one's cool and all. I haven't seen one. I'm sure it drives okay, and that's cool. But come on, a V12 stick shift car? The one I've got, originally got it with 9,000 original miles for $30,000. Like a new Honda costs that much. 9,000 original miles, and I have a V12 Grand Touring stick shift car with Connolly leather for 30 grand. Are you kidding me? Like, it kind of boggles my mind that all the kooky snobs out there haven't figured it out. Like, what do you have against Aston Martin right now? Like, why haven't those prices gone up? Because it like shares a platform with Jaguar? Who cares? The car is gorgeous. The V12 was done by Cosworth. It's a 6-speed stick shift. It makes pretty noises and looks gorgeous. The BMW V12 coupes, I can't remember what they're called because the prices went up and I don't even want to mess with it. They went crazy in price, right? But like the coupe of the Aston Martin DB7 with the 6-speed, they'll command more money. You know, you might still be able to find one for 30 grand, 35. But the automatics and the convertibles actually command less money. So for 20 grand all day long, you can get amazing convertible V12 Aston Martin. What? Now, the truth about these cars is they're pretty boutique-y. Like their interiors are kind of delicate. So you want to find a car that's sort of nice and not ragged out. But they do share a lot of parts with Jaguar and the platform. I got some gas adjustable shocks for mine from England because it shares the same one. So you just kind of have to be smart and look into things. There are salvage parts for them on eBay and whatnot. So if something happens, you can do pretty well there. But keep in mind that old Aston Martin parts are effing expensive. So, you know, have a good classic car insurance policy in case something you can't expect happens. But there's a lot of parts and they're delightful cars with a nice engine. Of course, my advice there is especially stay away from things that have a knock or anything funky. Really inspect that engine because if you have to yank a V12 and rebuild it, it's not going to be pleasant. But if you get the one that's good and take really good care of it, it's going to be an okay car. And there's plenty of cars out there with like 50 or 80,000 miles on it. So if you get one with low miles, you're probably going to be okay. They're susceptible to vacuum leaks. So if you see a car with a check engine light and you run the code, which is easy to do, and it says bank running lean, it's probably a vacuum leak. They're real easy to find. There's even some YouTube things on it. And frankly, I just work on mine on my own. I don't beat on it because I don't want to like have to rebuild the tranny or put a clutch in it. I would probably have somebody do that. But it is a T56 variant, which actually is the same transmission variant of what's in my Viper. So it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world doing that. But if you enjoy it as a Grand Touring car, the Aston Martin DB7 is a tremendous buy. And one last reason why people make no sense to me. A used V8 Vantage, which is only a few years newer than the V12 Vantage Coupe, the DB7, goes for more money with a lot more miles. Why are people buying a V8 Aston Martin that's stick shift that like has a load of miles on it and spending 10 or 15 grand more when you can buy a arguably more pretty and gorgeous V12 car with a stick shift? It makes no sense. I don't get it. I don't want to get it. And don't give me a reason why. So just be a cool car guy. And if you want a Grand Tour, go out and buy one now while you still can. Okay? So those are my cars for real car guys. Don't him and haw to me that like an interior part is rattly or like, oh, it's too 80s looking or something like that. They're all amazing cars. And if you're not a snobby McSnobbington and you want a cool car, one of these is going to fit a bill for you. First gen Toyota MR2, Porsche 944, C4 Corvette, early Dodge Vipers, and the Aston Martin DB7. That's all I got for right now, guys. Those are my top cars for real car guys. You better get one because the snobs are going to probably try to artificially inflate the prices, and that's really annoying. So, I don't know. That's all I got. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys next time.